You guys, the Happy Healthy Plant-Based Cookbook is still editor's pick and a #1 bestseller in our category on Amazon. Best part is it is currently 43% off, which is huge. I have no idea how much longer this discounted rate will be available, so be sure to grab it while you can. We will be starting round 2 of the 40-day meal movement and mindfulness challenge, which can be found within the book as an online community in our free private Facebook group starting April 1st.
Happy Healthy Plant-Based Cookbook. This is what we do.
How frustrating is it when you go to the store, stock up on all the colors of the rainbow, only to find that within a few short days, everything is covered in fuzz, it's wilted and lifeless, and honestly, you feel like you just threw your money away. If this is you, give this video a thumbs up because I have all of the solutions for you guys in today's video. Hey you guys, Erin here at EatMoveRest, and welcome back, or if it's your first time to our channel, then welcome to EatMoveRest. You have picked a juicy one today. We're gonna give you our top 7 food storage tips to make your produce last longer. If you guys like videos like this, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button up in the corner, click that bell to turn on your notifications, and be sure to leave us some love in the comments below. Be sure to also let us know which tip you're most excited to implement and share your own secrets and hacks in the comments below so we can keep the conversation going. Tip number 1, know what to refrigerate and what to leave out on the counter. Some things last longer in the refrigerator while others do better on the countertop. For example, berries, green leafies, cauliflower, broccoli, carrots, celery are gonna stay much more fresh and crisp in the refrigerator. And on that note, berries should be stored on the top shelf where there is the least amount of humidity. When you're shopping for berries, I always make sure to open each individual container, check for any moldy ones, and if there is mold, I make sure to pass. Wait to rinse your berries until right before you're going to eat them. We like to keep our greens in the plastic bags that we get them in, and you can easily reuse those bags to be less wasteful. We also like to keep them in the crisper drawer. Same thing with the celery and the carrots. When it comes to items that do better outside of the refrigerator, bananas, avocados, and tomatoes, onions, garlic, and potatoes do best outside of the refrigerator, and even better, keeping them in the dark in a cool, dry place. There are certain fruits and veggies that will continue to ripen after being picked and certain ones that will not. Apples and oranges are pretty much how they are when you bought them, but bananas and avocados, they can be green and hard as a rock, but if you leave them on the countertop, they will ripen. In fact, it is most beneficial for your body to consume bananas when they are spotted, because that's when the starches have converted into sugars, which your body readily uses for fuel and energy. When we buy our bananas and our avocados, we try to stagger them. We'll buy some that are ripe and ready, some that are medium, and some that are still pretty hard and unripe, so they continue to ripen and we continue to have them available as the week goes on. If you've been around here, then you know we love our smoothies. So with bananas, we buy them by the case, which is about 90 to 100 bananas. We let them all ripen and get speckled at once, and then we peel them, break them into 2 to 3 small pieces, store them all in the freezer so we have endless smoothies and nice cream available at the ready. And then with avocados, we tend to let them ripen and then put them in the refrigerator, which halts the ripening process, and it works like a charm. They will stay ripe for so long. Tip number 2, be mindful of packaging and what type of containers you're using to store your produce. So as mentioned before, with our leafy greens, we usually just keep the sacks that we bought them in, and we can reuse them, and we place them in that crisper drawer. I just make sure not to seal it tight because then you'll get trapped moisture in the bag. Instead, leave the end open. Same with berries. We keep them in the container they came in until we're ready to rinse and use them, especially if you're buying organic. And one pro tip for your herbs. If you clip the ends of them and put them in a glass mason jar filled with fresh filtered water, pop them in the fridge, they will stay that way for a good couple of weeks, if not a little bit longer. So try it with parsley, cilantro, and even basil. Anything else we're storing goes in glass. So we do tend to buy a lot of raw nuts and seeds for smoothies and all kinds of sauces. So what I'll do is I will pour our chia and our flax and our hemp, our raw Brazil nuts, whatever we're using on the daily, I put them in glass mason jars sealed in the refrigerator. They will always keep much better in the fridge. This isn't essential, but it is something we do, so they're at the ready for blending and baking. Number 3, prep and store smartly. So if you know you are gonna have a busy day ahead or a busy week, chop and prep things like carrots, cucumbers, celery. You could rinse your berries and chop your strawberries and throw them into a large glass Tupperware for the next day. For something like cut and peeled carrots, I like to keep just a tiny bit of water in the bottom of the container to help keep them from getting too dried out. The main takeaway here is when you prep and chop ahead of time, it keeps things from sitting in the refrigerator and going bad. I know it takes a little bit of extra effort, but it is so worth it. Just set aside 15 to 20 minutes, pop on a podcast or one of our YouTube videos, and just get things ready for your busy day or busy week ahead. Check out one of our recent meal prep videos where I showed you guys how I make our green smoothie freezer bags. So I put all of the fresh and frozen and dried powder ingredients all together in one and toss it in the freezer so it's very easy to stay fresh and to use the next morning in just minutes. Tip number 4, the ethylene gas rule. So certain produce will emit an ethylene gas which can speed up the ripening and rotting of other produce. So keep your bananas, your avocados, and your apples away from things like our delicate green leafies and our berries. On the flip side, if you want something to ripen more quickly, put an ethylene gas producing item into a paper bag with the item you're trying to ripen, or if you're just trying to ripen the banana or the avocado by itself, put it into a warm, dark paper bag or in the oven and it will ripen very rapidly. Also be sure that you keep your onions and your potatoes and sweet potatoes separate from each other because the onion and potato combo will cause each other to ripen and spoil more quickly. And also make sure to keep them, like I said, in a dark and cool place for optimal preservation.
So you guys, this is where we store everything that isn't basically in the fridge or right here on the countertop. It's dark and it's cool in here. So we've got all of our plant milk, all of our grains and our beans, and then we keep all of our bananas on this shelf, sweet potatoes, regular potatoes, and onions and garlic, all here in their own separate little containers.
When you're buying your bulk grains and beans, transfer them from the store container to your glass mason jar for easy pouring and measuring. And when your kids get their organic, grain-free, gluten-free, sugar-free cereal and they come home and they rip the bag open and it spills everywhere, a better route to go is to put it straight into one of these bad boys, extra, extra large. It keeps it from going stale. Tip number 5, eat your produce in the right order. So we love our fruit. We buy such a large variety and berries tend to spoil the quickest. So eat your berries first and then move on to your heartier fruits like bananas, oranges, apples. As for your green leafies, you can eat these in a specific order based on the hardiness or the delicateness of them. So your mixed green leafies should be eaten first. They are so thin and they wilt very quickly and they've already sometimes been chopped up a little bit. So eat those first and then move on to spinach and then green leaf lettuce. And then we're getting into the hardier greens when we look at romaine, which lasts quite a bit. And the king of greens that lasts the longest is our dino kale and curly kale. We tend to use these the most frequently though because we cram them into our blender. That being said, if you are, for example, about to leave on a vacation and something will likely go bad, instead rinse it, break it up, put it in the freezer and use it for smoothies. You can also take your herbs and put them in an ice cube tray. If you do consume oil, you could put the herbs with olive oil in a tray and freeze it so you can drop them into a pot and saute and cook with them. You could also juice a bunch of your greens and put them in a freezer tray and then use them as smoothie bombs.
Yeah, that being said, we actually also buy kale chopped already in the bag and throw it straight in the freezer so you have no excuses. It's never gonna go bad. It's always there for you to cram into your smoothie. Also, talking about timelines, I go to the store and buy berries probably every 3 to 4 days, whereas I only buy potatoes, carrots, these root veggies every 2 or 3 weeks because they last that much longer. I can buy that much more. So again, buy your berries, eat them fast. Buy bulk potatoes, eat them slow, they last forever. So it's God's perfect design that these root veggies, these winter squash, last all through the winter, right? They last a super long time. So bank on these lasting. You can chop stews for weeks. You can have dinner for weeks on literally like one large bag of potatoes. And again, the berries, buy them often, eat them fast. That being said, you can freeze almost any of our meals. You can freeze our waffles, you can freeze our stews. We've done this many times if we're leaving town, like Erin just said, on vacation, going home to see family. We come home to a freezer meal. Can't complain with that. You want natural food, and naturally foods are going to ripen and then spoil. So when in doubt, keep it in the freezer. Moving on to number 6. Believe it or not, you actually can revive these wilting greens and sometimes even your rubbery carrots by giving them an ice bath. So fill up a big bowl with some ice and cold water, let them sit in there for 10 minutes and things will crisp back up. And it might seem weird, but you can also freeze pretty much any veggie. You just want to probably chop it first. So you can chop and dice your onions, throw them in the freezer, carrots, bell peppers, things like broccoli and cauliflower. Seriously, chop it all, throw it in a Tupperware in the freezer, and it's there for whenever you want it or need it.
Last but not least, tip number 7, keep your refrigerator clean and organized. If you just bought new dino kale and whoops, you already had a bunch at home, make sure to put the newer in the back, older in the front, so you can cycle through things efficiently. Make sure that if it's something that has a longer shelf life, like your hummus, tofu, tempeh, keep it in the back. Keep the fresh up front where you can see it, you're more likely to use it. I think it's safe to say whenever we go to Grandma and Grandpa's house, the fridge is so plumb full of stuff, and I always end up having to check expiration dates and toss out so many fruits and veggies that have been growing hair for weeks upon weeks. So aim to have a quarterly fridge clean out. Every season, freshen everything up, wipe things down, and start fresh. Dusty and I use an app called AnyList where anytime either of us is making something and runs short, we add it to the list and it syncs on both of our phones. So if any of us is out running errands and we stop by the grocery store, we can open that app and immediately know what is needed. So when something runs out, add it to the list. That way you're never coming up short when you need something for a recipe. This might have been a lot of new information to digest, but keep it simple. Don't bite off more than you can chew, AKA don't buy more than what you will actually consume. If something looks like it's gonna go bad, eat it or freeze it, and worst case, if it does go bad, please compost it and add it to your garden soil. And if you're hungry for more, if you need help staying on track, dialed in, accountable, prepping meals, planning meals, be sure to join the EatMoveRest Club, our yearly membership, which is only 89 bucks a year. That's about 25 cents a day. I basically think of it as an all-inclusive resort for the health conscious. You get our meal planner and recipe app, which is continuing to grow every single month, as well as weekly group Zoom coaching calls, monthly challenges, and so much more. You can also grab our brand new recipe book, the Happy Healthy Plant-Based Cookbook. It includes a 40-day meal movement and mindfulness challenge and all of our family favorite recipes. So everything is linked below to help you thrive. Until next time, eat, move, rest, your best. Bye guys.